Just about everything you read and watch about childhood trauma is about how terrible it is, how damaged you are, how bad the people who did this to you are. And it's not that they weren't bad or that you weren't damaged, but you have to be very careful consuming all that negative focus, all that backward focus, when the person you are now is crying to change. Because you can't get from the damage of what happened to you to the freedom and joy of becoming your real self by only focusing on the trauma. You are more than your trauma. What happened to you was terrible. It was wrong. It hurt you. But now, even though it's wobbly, you have freedom. And you can begin your healing and make your life yours at last. You begin when you shift some of the focus from the past and bring it into present time, into the control of the only person who can change your life now, which is you, right here in present time. Now, all my videos and courses and coaching, they're about how you make this change, how you identify the symptoms, the neurological changes that you go through when something hurts you or triggers you in present time, and how you begin to heal. But today, I want to talk about what you will notice in yourself when these wonderful changes are taking place. This is the most important part of what I'm teaching, and I go over these signs every so often to make sure that you and everyone who watches my videos gets to hear them so that they can be like a beacon for you. They can be a light that you follow when you're in a dark period of your life. Let these signs of healing be like a North Star for you and go in that direction. Okay? Now, you've heard me talk about all the self-defeating behaviors that are common for people with CPTSD. These are the things we struggle to stop doing at first that can re-traumatize us. They take the old childhood traumas and activate them again. If you haven't seen the video where I go through some of those, I'll put a link at the end of this video, so stay with me for that part. What I'm going to tell you now is what it looks like when those trauma-driven habits fall away, which they will. Now, maybe you're at the point, or maybe you're not there yet. There's not time in my video to, cover everything that I teach in my programs, but I want to plant legitimate hope in your heart that you can and should look forward to healing these common ways that people with childhood PTSD traumatize themselves. We do this. And I teach this because, for me, this was the hardest part of healing. And I mean, yes, the stuff that happened to me when I was a child was bad. But in the end, it was the stuff I did to myself, the bad relationships, the chain smoking, lashing out at people. If you've taken my courses, you know my story. But I wasn't getting better for a really long time when I was trying to get better because of all the hurtful situations I was putting myself into and dragging other people into. And then I changed. And it's not like I'm all perfect now. I'm a work in progress, just like everyone. But if you're stuck in a pattern, just like I was, I get it. I understand, and I'm here to show you a better way, okay? So you want to hear some of the signs when you're healed from traumatizing yourself anymore? Okay, you're not going to have all of these, but you can see if you relate to some of them. One is, when your trauma is healing, you will no longer tend to see things in black and white terms. People, yourself, situations. You will no longer hold them up as all good or put them down as all bad. And you'll begin to appreciate the complexity of things and the way people can have faults, but still be decent people anyway. And you'll have less outrage and more curiosity about other points of view. You'll have less impatience and more persistence, and you'll lose the attraction to extreme views or authority figures and gain the ability to interact with a variety of people and educate yourself. And relationships where one person dominates will become more equal, or they'll fade away, and it will be less necessary to cut people out of your life. So think of all the struggle you've had in the past around these problems and how good it will feel to be free. Number 2 is you'll have a natural desire to care for your body. And part of it is because you'll have less drama and more energy to do things like take a walk, floss your teeth, or shop for clothes that actually look good on you. And you'll feel a little better. And so now when you're feeling too schlumpy to leave the house, or you're tired from watching TV till after midnight, it's going to feel not worth it anymore. It will become more possible to face your addictions and to take action so that you overcome them. One little step after another will lead to more clarity, more enthusiasm for life, and you'll want to do more good things for yourself. It feeds on itself. All right. Number 3 is, this is another one where an old behavior will start to just feel awful, and that's around the way that you eat. Being at the effect of past trauma can lead to everything from obesity and eating disorders to a tendency to deal with stress by binging on high carbohydrate foods and sugar, or not eating at all. Now, the high carb foods can be calming at first, but dysregulating in the long run. And as you heal, you're not going to want that feeling. And in fact, if sugar and carbs are your weak spot, they are mine, you might want to check out Bright Line Eating. I've got a link to that down below in the description section for anybody who wants to find it. It's a nice way of eating that's very flexible, and I find really helps with dysregulation. Number 4 is you'll lose that compulsive desire to binge on TV and video games and just plain looking at your phone all the time. And if you're someone who has been into that stuff enough to interfere with your sleep or meals or your job performance or your ability to be present with the people in your life, then the release from screen addiction is going to be life-changing for you. And I know I have to look at a screen to say this to you, and you have to look at a screen to hear it. But everything in moderation, all right? Number 5, you'll notice this big sign that you're not re-traumatizing yourself anymore when you aren't tempted anymore to fudge the truth. This is things like exaggerating, hiding important information about yourself, or even lying about things. And part of the reason is there will be nothing that you need to hide or feel ashamed about. You won't have so many problems when you've healed from your trauma. So you'll be comfortable being more honest about what's going on in your life. But it's also because just being real, being honestly yourself, it feels better. And you'll start to have discomfort. You know, it just doesn't feel good when you're not being real. You'll actually want the truth to filter through your life. And if there's anyone still in your life who can't handle who you really are and how you really feel, then that's okay. Maybe they're not meant to be there. And maybe when they're gone, even though saying goodbye will be sad, there's going to be a big, nice space where someone who loves you and accepts you just as you are can be. All right, number 6. An important sign that you're healing from trauma is that your work life will start to go better. You won't stay stuck in unfulfilling work. You're going to change your relationship to that job or get a new one. And if a lack of work has been your problem, all the good changes happening will make it easier to get work and earn money that supports you and all the people who count on you. Now, you'll know how to steer clear of exploitative or abusive employers. You'll lose your appetite for conflicts on the job, and you'll gain the ability to show up, do good work, be an encourager of your coworkers, and an advocate for yourself and your ideas when you need to. All right. The 7th sign that you're done re-traumatizing yourself is that you'll lose interest in assigning blame to yourself or other people for problems, and instead focus on finding good solutions. You'll feel less angry, less irritable, and when something is your fault, it'll be easier to just own it and apologize. And when someone else owes you an apology, but they don't give it to you, you won't dwell on it. Blamey news and social media also, it's just, those posts are just going to start to put a bad taste in your mouth. And people in your life may not know why, but they're going to feel better around themselves when they're around you. Number 8, a big sign that your trauma is really healing now is that any attraction you once had to unavailable partners and troubling friends will let go of you. I talk a lot about this in all my videos about healing relationships, but so much life damage is done by this one self-defeating behavior, connecting and bonding with and staying with people who are trouble, or avoiding any kind of intimacy with people at all, even though it's what you long for. Or you might be abusing intimacy by acting out sexually, which is still a way of having no intimacy. Now, this is one part of CPTSD that can be hard to heal just by deciding to change. It cuts to the very heart of that trauma wound. But when you've made real progress in other areas, it'll be easier to stop re-traumatizing yourself in the area of your life where sex and romance are. The spell gets broken and there is peace when you're single and the possibility of harmony and real love when you do meet someone. The 9th sign is this: you start to prefer reality to fantasy. And the tendency to check out by spending too much time in a limerent fantasy romance or in a fantastical business idea, picture that you're dreaming about but not acting on. And this is really common for people who are going through a trauma right now. But after time, it's just another way to avoid real problems and the actions that you need to take to solve them and move forward. Now, when you're healing, it feels less necessary to fantasize. And when you catch yourself daydreaming, you can come back where you can actually connect with people and put your goals into action, which is here and now. That's a good thing. And finally, number 10, your material well-being starts to come together in a positive way. Most people in the world, including most happy people, live good lives without being rich and famous, and some live on very little money at all. Financial hardship can fall on anyone, but when you're free of trauma, it's more possible to earn a steady income, to let go of, get-rich-quick schemes, to live within your means, to release the fear of the past when maybe you were always a few $100s away from homelessness. I've been there before, and it can limit you. It all gets better all together at the same time, a little here, a little there. And when you're healing all this stuff, you can sleep at night, you can handle hard days, you can hold your head up even though you make mistakes because you're not sabotaging yourself in ways that make you ashamed. This is what healing feels like when you're not re-traumatized all the time. So don't get discouraged. There are things you can do to start healing right now. I put some of them with the links in the description section below. And if you want to check out whether you may still be re-traumatizing yourself, I've listed some of those ways, the common self-defeating behaviors, so that you can choose which one you want to start working on today so that you can feel happier. It's all in this video right here, and I will see you very soon.